When a man finally realizes that a woman was never genuinely interested in him. The pain often comes from more than rejection itself. It comes from the time, energy, hope, and emotional investment that quietly disappeared into something that was never real. Most men do not walk into these situations blindly. Deep down, there are moments when something feels off. The replies feel delayed. The enthusiasm feels inconsistent. The connection feels unstable. Yet instead of trusting that discomfort, many men explain it away. They tell themselves she is busy, guarded, confused, or simply different. This is how confusion replaces clarity, and how men end up overanalyzing messages, replaying conversations, and wondering where they stand. The truth is far simpler than most people want to admit. When a woman is genuinely interested, you do not feel anxious, uncertain, or constantly off balance. Real interest is obvious. It is consistent. It is calm. You do not need to decode her behavior or guess how she feels. Her actions line up with her words, and her presence in your life feels stable rather than conditional. Confusion is not mystery, and uncertainty is not attraction. Those emotions usually signal a lack of genuine desire. Many men miss these signs because acknowledging them would force a difficult decision. Walking away feels painful, especially after investing emotionally. There is also ego involved. Admitting that someone was never truly interested can feel like admitting failure. But staying in a dynamic where you are not wanted does far more damage than leaving early. It slowly erodes confidence, self-respect, and emotional clarity. Over time, it teaches you to accept less than you deserve and to doubt your own worth. This is not about blaming women or framing them as villains. People are allowed to feel what they feel, and attraction cannot be forced. The danger lies in staying in situations where interest is one-sided, unclear, or performative. These situations drain focus, disrupt peace, and keep men emotionally unavailable for women who would actually value them. Protecting yourself is not bitterness. It is maturity. This video exists to bring clarity where confusion has been normalized. It breaks down the unmistakable signs that a woman is not genuinely interested, even if she appears kind, friendly, or occasionally affectionate. These signs are not dramatic. They are quiet patterns that repeat over time. Once you see them clearly, you can stop questioning yourself and start making decisions that protect your dignity. The first sign is often the easiest to notice, yet the hardest to accept, because it feels subtle rather than cruel. It begins with how she places you in her life, and whether you are treated as a priority or merely an option. That is where everything starts to reveal itself. The first clear sign that a woman is not genuinely interested is how she positions you in her life. When a woman truly wants a man, her effort shows up naturally and consistently. She reaches out without being prompted. She remembers small details you mentioned weeks ago. She makes time even when her schedule is full. Because desire reorganizes priorities without needing reminders. You feel chosen, not questioned. There is no lingering doubt about whether you matter. Because her behavior answers that question before it ever forms in your mind. When you are not a priority, the pattern looks very different. She's always busy, yet somehow never too busy for other people, other plans, or other distractions. Replies arrive late and feel dry, stripped of warmth or curiosity. Plans are canceled casually, often at the last minute, with vague explanations and no follow-up. The most important detail is not the cancellation itself, but what comes after. A woman who cares will reschedule. She will suggest another day, another time, another way to see you. Someone who does not simply lets the moment die and waits for you to revive it. This is where many men make a costly mistake. Instead of observing the pattern, they begin to rationalize it. They tell themselves she is shy, overwhelmed, emotionally guarded, or going through something difficult. They assume patience will be rewarded and effort will be noticed. So they chase harder, message more, and lower their standards quietly, hoping consistency on their side will create interest on hers. In reality, this only confirms your position as a backup option. What makes this dynamic especially confusing is the presence of breadcrumbs. She may like your stories, send emojis, reply with one-word messages, or occasionally resurface just enough to keep hope alive. These small signals feel like progress, but they require almost no investment from her. Breadcrumbs are not effort. They are placeholders designed to keep you available without committing emotionally. You remain close enough to provide attention, but never close enough to be chosen. The core truth is simple and uncomfortable. Attraction leans in. It does not hesitate, stall, or hide behind excuses. If you are always initiating, always waiting, and always second-guessing where you stand, you are not building attraction. You are filling a temporary role. One of the most revealing tests is silence. When you stop initiating, does she step forward, or does she disappear? Her response in that space tells you everything words never will. When interest is real, you do not have to earn it through persistence, and when it is absent, chasing only teaches her that your time and attention are available at a discount. The next sign becomes even more painful, because it often shows up when you are physically together, yet emotionally alone. The second sign is one of the most emotionally draining experiences a man can have. She is physically with you, but her attention is somewhere else. On the surface, it may look like you are spending time together. You sit across from her, share a meal, or walk side by side. Yet beneath that surface, there is a deep absence. Her eyes drift to her phone. Her fingers scroll while you speak. She laughs more at something on her screen than at anything you say. When you talk, she listens just enough to be polite, not enough to be present. This kind of disconnection hurts more than direct rejection because it creates false hope. You are there, yet you feel invisible. Many men respond to this by trying harder. They become more animated, tell better stories, exaggerate achievements, or shift into entertainer mode, hoping to spark engagement. Unfortunately, this only highlights the imbalance. The more you perform, the clearer it becomes that her interest is not something you can create through effort. Genuine interest looks completely different. When a woman is attracted, she leans in without thinking about it. She asks follow-up questions because she's curious, not because she's being polite. Even mundane topics feel interesting to her because they come from you. Her attention feels calm and focused, not scattered. You do not have to compete with her phone, the room, or imaginary alternatives in her mind. She chooses to be present. A common confusion here is mistaking disinterest for shyness. Shy women may avoid prolonged eye contact or speak softly, but they are still emotionally tuned in. They listen carefully. They remember what you say. They respond thoughtfully, even if quietly. Disinterest, on the other hand, feels hollow. Conversations remain shallow. Responses are short. Distractions dominate the interaction. The energy never deepens, no matter how much time you spend together. There is a simple way to test this dynamic without confrontation. Pay attention to her engagement. Does she ask about your life, your thoughts, your experiences? Does she build on what you say? Or does every topic die quickly, Presence is not about sitting in the same space. It is about emotional availability. If she is constantly elsewhere, she is not choosing you in that moment. The hardest truth to accept is that you should never have to fight for attention from someone who wants you. Attention is given freely when desire exists. If you find yourself competing with screens, distractions, or silence, the answer is already there. Accepting it protects your dignity and prevents deeper attachment to someone who is not truly with you. And sometimes, her absence becomes even clearer when she starts looking outward, measuring you against other men. The third sign cuts directly into a man's sense of pride, and for that reason, it is often ignored or minimized. She starts comparing you to other men. Sometimes it is obvious, sometimes it is subtle, but the message underneath is the same. She is not seeing you as the man she wants. She may mention a co-worker's ambition, casually praise a friend's confidence, or bring up how thoughtful her ex used to be. On the surface, it can sound harmless, even conversational. But emotionally, it creates a quiet imbalance that you can feel immediately. When a woman is genuinely interested, her focus moves in the opposite direction. She notices your strengths. She talks about you with admiration. Even when she sees flaws, she frames them with warmth and understanding. Her attention naturally highlights what she appreciates about you, not what you lack compared to someone else. Attraction narrows focus. Disinterest widens it. The damage of comparison is not just emotional. It reshapes the dynamic between you. The moment she places other men on a pedestal, you are no longer standing as the prize in her mind. You are being measured, evaluated, and quietly found wanting. Many men respond to this by trying to compete. They brag more. They emphasize achievements. They attempt to match or exceed the qualities she praises in others. Unfortunately, this reaction confirms the very position you are trying to escape. Competing means you have already accepted that you are not enough as you are. Sometimes the comparison is not verbal at all. It shows up as an energy shift. Her eyes light up when she talks about someone else. Her voice becomes animated. Her smile feels genuine and effortless. Then, when attention returns to you, the energy fades. Conversations flatten. Enthusiasm disappears. This contrast is easy to feel, but painful to acknowledge. So many men pretend it does not matter. The core truth is simple. Real attraction does not make you feel replaceable. It does not invite competition. When a woman truly wants you, you feel valued without having to prove yourself. You feel chosen, not measured against a lineup of alternatives. The presence of other men does not threaten your position because your place is already secure. This is why comparison should not be treated as motivation or feedback. It is disrespect disguised as honesty. It signals that she does not see your value, and no amount of explanation or effort will suddenly make her see it. Attraction cannot be argued into existence. The healthiest response is not to convince her, but to ask yourself a harder question. Do you want to invest in someone who cannot recognize your worth without comparison? Once you see this sign clearly, the illusion begins to fade, and often, it connects to another painful pattern, where she only reaches for you when it serves her needs, not when it deepens connection. The fourth sign reveals itself through timing and intention rather than words. She only shows up when it benefits her. At first, this can feel flattering. She reaches out late at night, vents about her problems, asks for advice, or seeks comfort when something in her life falls apart. In those moments, you may feel needed, trusted, even chosen. But over time, a pattern forms. Her presence in your life is tied almost entirely to her emotional needs, not to shared connection or mutual investment. When interest is genuine, energy flows both ways. She checks in because she wants to hear your voice, not because she is lonely or distressed. She shows up for you with the same intensity you offer her if you are struggling. She makes space rather than disappearing if you need support. She does not suddenly become too busy. Mutuality is the clearest marker of real connection. Many men confuse availability with attraction. They believe that being consistently there, reliable, and emotionally open will eventually make her see their value. So they answer every call, absorb every emotional dump, and put their own needs aside. What they do not realize is that this behavior often trains her to see them as a safety net rather than a desired partner. She comes back because you are predictable, not because she feels drawn to you. The easiest way to spot this early is to observe the timing of her contact. Does she reach out randomly just to connect, or only when she's upset, bored, or seeking reassurance? Does she initiate positive moments, or are you only present during emotional lows? If your role is limited to fixing, soothing, or validating, you are being used for stability, not chosen for attraction. The hardest truth here is that loyalty to the wrong woman does not transform how she sees you. Availability does not create desire. In many cases, it does the opposite. It lowers perceived value by removing the need for effort on her side. When someone has unlimited access to your time and emotional energy, they rarely learn to appreciate it. A powerful way to reclaim clarity is to stop giving temporarily and observe what happens when you pull back. Does she lean in with genuine concern and curiosity, or does she vanish? Disappearance is not a loss. It is information. It shows that the connection existed only because you were carrying it alone. Letting go of this role is not cruelty. It is self-respect. You are not meant to be an emotional crutch for someone who does not want to build something real with you. And if this pattern continues long enough, it often evolves into something even more damaging, where respect itself begins to disappear. The fifth sign is the most destructive of all, because once it appears, the foundation can no longer be repaired. Disrespect. This is the moment when attraction is not just absent, but replaced by something corrosive. It can show up loudly or quietly. She may talk over you, dismiss your opinions, roll her eyes when you speak, or make sarcastic comments at your expense. Sometimes it appears as jokes that sting, comments that undermine you in front of others, or subtle belittling that leaves you feeling small without knowing exactly why. What makes disrespect so dangerous is how easily it is normalized. Many men brush it off at first. They tell themselves she is just joking, stressed, or having a bad day. They stay silent to keep the peace, believing patience will restore balance. In reality, silence teaches her what you are willing to tolerate. Each time disrespect goes unchallenged, it becomes more comfortable for her to repeat it. Over time, it escalates. It is important to separate disagreement from disrespect. Healthy relationships include differences of opinion. You can disagree about decisions, values, or situations without attacking each other's character. Disrespect is different. It targets who you are, not what you think. It mocks, diminishes, and invalidates you as a person. When a woman crosses that line consistently, it signals that she has emotionally checked out. Attraction cannot survive without respect. In fact, respect is the soil attraction grows from. Many men respond to disrespect by trying to prove their worth. They explain themselves more, justify their actions, or attempt to win back approval through logic or effort. This response only deepens the imbalance. You cannot negotiate respect. You cannot argue someone into valuing you. The more you try, the more power you give away. Staying in a dynamic like this slowly erodes self-worth. You begin questioning your judgment, softening your boundaries, and accepting behavior you would never tolerate from someone you barely knew. Over time, this rewires your standards and makes toxicity feel normal. The cost is not just emotional pain, but the quiet loss of dignity. The only meaningful response to disrespect is action, not words. Boundaries are not speeches. They are decisions. If disrespect appears and continues, walking away is not weakness, it is strength. Being alone with self-respect is infinitely healthier than staying connected to someone who chips away at your sense of value. When disrespect enters the picture, the message is already clear. The connection is no longer about mutual care or desire. And once all these signs are seen together, the final step becomes unavoidable. The question is no longer why she behaves this way, but why you would stay. When you step back and look at all these signs together, a single truth becomes impossible to ignore. They all point to the same conclusion: the absence of genuine interest. None of these patterns appear in isolation by accident. Being treated like an option, fighting for attention, feeling compared, being used for convenience, and enduring disrespect are not phases. They are signals. Ignoring them does not make them disappear. It only deepens the emotional cost of staying. Many men waste years trying to understand someone who has already shown them who she is. They search for the right words, the right timing, or the right version of themselves that will finally unlock her desire. In doing so, they delay the one decision that would actually change their life. Walking away feels painful because it requires letting go of hope. But hope that is not grounded in reality becomes a trap. It keeps you emotionally invested in someone who does not see your value. Recognizing these signs early is not about becoming cold or cynical. It is about becoming honest. Honesty protects your energy, your focus, and your future. Every moment spent chasing unclear interest is a moment taken away from building a connection with someone who would meet you with the same effort, respect, and enthusiasm. Real attraction does not create anxiety. It creates clarity. You do not feel like you are auditioning for a role. You feel welcomed into her world. The core message is simple, but it requires courage to accept. Interest is never hidden. If a woman truly wants you, you will know without needing reassurance. Her behavior will be consistent. Her presence will feel stable. Her respect will be automatic. And if she does not want you, you will feel that too. It shows up as tension, confusion, and imbalance. Learning to trust those feelings is a form of self-respect. Letting go is often framed as giving up. But in reality, it is the strongest move a man can make. It signals that you value your time and emotional health. It opens space for relationships that do not require chasing, proving, or shrinking yourself. The right connection does not ask you to abandon your dignity in exchange for attention. If any of these signs felt familiar, you are not alone. Many men have lived through these dynamics and stayed far longer than they should have. The most important step is not regret, but awareness. Awareness changes patterns. If this message resonated with you, share your experience in the comments. Your story may help someone else recognize what they have been avoiding. Like the video. Share it with someone who needs clarity, and subscribe for more honest conversations about relationships, attraction, and self-respect. The most powerful move you can make is not chasing harder, but choosing yourself.